Lynette and I left Mexico City, and if you ever lived there, you might be wondering why. Welcome back. My name is Adrian. This is Sit Down Sunday, where I self-reflect on the adventures I'm having here in Mexico with my wife. And this week, the topic I want to discuss is why we moved away from Mexico City. So if you're considering moving there, you're currently living there, you might just, out of curiosity, wonder why we left. This is the video for you. That's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to go over a couple of reasons why we left. So let's start off with reason number one. I got my handy dandy notebook. If you ever seen Blue's Clues, you know what I'm talking about. Mine is orange. It's a field book. If you don't have these are pretty cool. Peter McKinnon got me into these, by the way, if you watch him. Anyway, reason one. Reason one is the pace of the city was overwhelming. I'll put that back down here. So yes, the pace of the city was overwhelming. What do I mean exactly by that? It's a massive city. Lynette and I didn't grow up in big cities. Lynette's from Redlands, California. I'm from Tucson, Arizona. They're relatively good-sized cities, but we didn't grow up in a large metropolitan area where, we have to commute everywhere. It's subways and a lot of people. So the pace, the speed of the life in Mexico City is, even if you don't want it to be, becomes fast because if you don't have a vehicle, you have to figure out what time, you have to leave certain places to commute to get there efficiently and fast, to get there on time. So over time, just that rush, feeling like you're always on a rush in a race that you didn't ask to be in, it can be draining, especially if you weren't raised in a city like that. And Lynette and I aren't in that case, in that bubble of people. It's true to the fact that I think that if you're born and raised in a big city, you will always love big city life. There's a lot of pros about big city life, but for Lynette and I, it was just too much. That pace, that running around, it just gets exhausting. It does get exhausting. And Lynette and I, when we moved from New York to Mexico City, I think we both long-term wanted to find somewhere where we can set some sort of roots. Of course, we were unsure if Mexico City was going to be that. Of course, because this is our first big move and moving to a different country. So we were unsure if Mexico City was going to be that. But that was the goal. We were hoping it was going to be. Unfortunately, it wasn't. But that was reason one. Now, reason two. Let me go back to our notebook here. Reason two is we were always in transition. So, again, this might not even be Mexico City's fault, right? We moved to a different country, and it felt like we were always unsettled, even though we had an apartment, and we slowly, we got advice from friends who lived in different countries in New York, and they recommended to us how important it was to make wherever you live, your apartment, your house, make it your home. Buy the furniture that makes it feel like home. Anything that assists you. So when you leave the big city, the hustle and bustle, you get back to your house and you feel this sense of relief. At least on my side, I can't speak for Lynette. Maybe next week we can talk about this a little bit. But on my side, it always didn't feel completely like home. I mean, we bought things, we tried our best to make it that way. I think it's due to the fact that the surrounding noise, there's so many variables to it. So I can't necessarily blame Mexico City, but it felt like we never put roots down. It felt like we were still in motion, like we were still guests in Mexico City. Now, even though we had a lease and we had an apartment, it still didn't really feel like, oh, we live here, we've moved here. And it's intangible. I don't know exactly why. My best guess is just because it's so foreign to my experience of city living that it didn't feel something like I was used to. So I thought, again, subconsciously, maybe that's why it didn't feel like we had roots there, and we felt like it was a transition place. Like Mexico City was preparing you for the next step, which right now we're in Pachuca. So Do I think it succeeded in that? I think so. I think Mexico City is beautiful and I love visiting. We'll get into why, we're still relatively close. We're only an hour away, like an hour and a half away. So that was reason 2. Hopefully I didn't go off topic too much on point number 2. Now, point number 3. Point number 3 is the chaos drained our energy. The chaos. Chaos sounds like a negative connotation. It's not negative in any way. If anyone knows me, I think people could describe me as being a little chaotic. I think chaos is a good thing. I just didn't realize I moved to a city that had the same personality as me. And I don't know how my wife does it. So maybe she was more comfortable with Mexico City than I was, but it's just a very loud city, a lot of movement, a lot of, people selling things, and the chaos of figuring things out consistently. I feel like there was a big learning curve, again, from what I was used to, that, it was just too much. It was too much that just like grocery shopping, just grocery shopping took a lot of energy. And for example, this creative process, this YouTube channel that I'm starting now, that I'm excited. Thank you for the support. Like and subscribe if you've watched thus far. I appreciate it. I honestly always wanted to do this, even before I moved to Mexico City, even when I was in New York. But it always, being in an ambiance of running around, chaos, things to do, always things are happening, it honestly stunted my creativity. I think that because Mexico City was chaotic, fast, movement, it almost felt like my mind couldn't just calm down, and just create. I felt like I was always thinking about things that had to get done. And being in Pachuca, one would argue it's much slower pace of life. But it's inspired me in ways that, I didn't expect, the slower pace of life. And, people get inspired differently. A lot of people who do the opposite. They go to a big city and that inspires them. And I think that does happen to me in moments. Like if I visit Mexico City, I am inspired. There's so much art, architecture, museums, all these beautiful things that can inspire you as a creative. But living there, I think it's different, and maybe that's just my opinion. Maybe you live there and you disagree. Please comment below. At least that was my experience. I just felt stunted a little bit. I don't know if it was just the pace, the chaos. I can't put my finger on it, but that was another reason why we left Mexico City. I think that we needed something different to creatively be more inspired and not feel so drained to actually do things. I think when you're commuting in Mexico City, you're traveling around, going all these different places. And again, it's a good thing on one side. But on the other side, when you get home, you just want to rest. You want to sleep. You want to relax because you've given so much energy out. You're so self-aware. There's so many people. You're always taking care of your belongings. So you get home and you're exhausted. You don't feel like you have space to create, to do more. Again, that's just my experience. Maybe if we would have stayed there longer, I would have learned something to counteract those feelings, those emotions. But Lynette and I both felt like, I don't know if we can see ourselves here long term. Maybe we can find somewhere else to go. So that was reason number 3. Let's go to reason number 4. I kind of hit this a little bit smacked my hand. I kind of hit this point already in point number 3. Point number 3 and 4, they're similar. Point number 3 was a little bit more about the chaos, the movement, the speed of the city versus everyday acts wore us down, which is point number 4, is simply needing to go buy water, buying some groceries. It was an adventure at first. I would argue it still is if you live there. It's still an adventure. It just is draining. Something that maybe back home we were used to, driving 10 minutes away, 5 minutes away, go grocery shop. It was like more transactional. It was less thinking, but chores just became more draining. They weren't easy. And again, this is a first world problem. We could have kept staying there and doing it. We did it for a year. But the point was, did I want to do this for life? Is this where I want to be long term? I can genuinely say that I loved Mexico City. I still love Mexico City. It's an awesome city. If you haven't visited, please visit. It's super cool. But there's a difference between loving a place and then living in that place and experiencing day to day. I don't know how to describe Mexico City. If I had to describe it, it's maybe you heard this description applied to other circumstances. It's like people who have dogs. Lynette and I are cat parents, and we love dogs as well. We don't own a dog though. I feel like Mexico City is like a golden retriever. Like, if you own one, you probably love your golden retriever. But as a person that doesn't own one, and I just watch people who own a golden retriever, I respect them so much because it's a big sacrifice. And I love visiting someone who has a golden retriever because I get to play with them, have fun with them, but I get to leave. You know, like I don't have to take them on walks every day. I don't have to clean their poop. I don't have to struggle with the negatives of a golden retriever. Maybe you're a golden retriever parent and you say there's no negatives, and good for you. And in my perspective, it feels like there is certain negatives. Everything has an opportunity cost. So that's how I see Mexico City, like that golden retriever that I love to visit and play with and play fetch with. But then I want to leave Mexico City there, leave the golden retriever there. I hope that illustration makes sense. That's my relationship currently with Mexico City. If people visit us, we love taking them there. The food's delicious, museums are amazing. But again, the daily living there for Lynette and I, it drained us on a long term, and we couldn't see ourselves again living there for a long period of time. So that was reason number 4. Hopefully that makes sense. Golden retrievers. I love golden retrievers, not offending anybody. We're like low-key considering a Chihuahua. So I'm not hating on dogs here. We love all animals. Point number 5. Point number 5 is more introspective. It doesn't really have to do with Mexico City in itself. But point number 5 was that Lynette and I mentioned it earlier, we're looking for those roots, like where we're going to be here long term. And I think part of that over time, over the months, 6-7 months that we were there, and it turned into a year for our lease, we ended up seeing that we both were craving something more calm. We were craving it. Maybe we didn't vocalize it, but we felt like, oh man, this is really tiring us out. So we decided to find somewhere, that gave us that more calmness. There's other reasons, maybe people who move away from Mexico City. These were the ones that I felt like were solid of why we moved. Other reasons that people might tell you, and I agree with, is it is more expensive. Depending where you live, but being, a couple that we weren't born and raised in Mexico, we have accents. It's the reality. We felt like to be in a place that we felt more safe, we had to pay more. And again, that can be mental. Maybe over time you would have moved somewhere that's inexpensive but is safe as well. But I know it was going to take a lot of moving to figure that out, and I just didn't have the patience for that, moving around. It's an expensive city, so that's another reason why we were looking somewhere where we were still relatively close, so we can have the benefits of Mexico City. They have top tier hospitals. There's people who travel to Mexico City for their doctors and hospitals and things like that. So we didn't want to move away from it. We love the weather of Central Mexico. Huge bonus as well in Mexico City. It applies here in Pachuca as well. So that's why we chose Pachuca, or one of the many reasons we chose Pachuca. Maybe I'll do another sit down Sunday of why we chose Pachuca out of all the cities that we could have chosen. But yeah, that's our sit down Sunday this week. Hopefully it was rewarding, and if you were considering to visit Mexico City, please don't let this deter you. As a place to visit, man, it's the place to visit. Again, this is a hot take, and this is just my take, and I might be super biased because I live in Mexico now, but I had a more pleasant experience in Mexico City versus New York City. Maybe I hung out with the wrong crowd or went to the wrong places, but that city gave me way more stress. It gave me way more other things, but that's a different conversation. But please don't let this deter you. Please visit Mexico City. It's safe, delicious food. Free, like Sundays, by the way, a little hack here. On Sundays, there's a lot of free museums. In fact, there's like 80. There's a lot. There's like a website, a government website in Mexico that gives you the information for these free museums on Sundays. So if you're also on a budget, Mexico City is also the place to be. So yes, don't let this deter you. These were the reasons why, simply 5 reasons why Lynette and I left Mexico City and moved to Pachuca. Thank you again for watching thus far. Please like and subscribe. And if you're wondering where I'm at, this right here is a Rotoplas. I think we've discussed it a little bit earlier, or in other videos. The Rotoplas has our water here, and I'm on the roof of our house, and I'm trying to weekly find somewhere creative to sit down, where these sit down Sundays. So this is also enjoyable visually, even though you're just watching me for 10-15 minutes or whatever how length of this is. So thanks again, guys. Appreciate the support, and we'll see you in the next video.